The biggest new mechanic introduced in Generation 6 was Mega Evolution, and with Generation 7 coming closer and closer every day, many Pokemon fans have begun speculating as to which Pokemon will receive new Mega forms. Currently, a total of 46 Pokemon can Mega Evolve into 48 different Mega Evolution forms. As there are now a total of 722 Pokemon, counting the as-of-yet unreleased Volcanion in Generation 6 and Magearna in Generation 7, that means that a whopping 6% of all Pokemon can Mega Evolve. At first glance, that doesn't seem like many Pokemon, but remember, these 722 Pokemon include a lot that are able to evolve further in their line, like Bulbasaur and Ivysaur. If we were to include just the Pokemon that are fully evolved, like Venusaur, or ones that have no evolutionary line at all, like Kangaskhan, then that list includes just a fraction of the number of total Pokemon currently in existence. That new number is 385. 46 of these 385 Pokemon can Mega Evolve. And let's go ahead and add Groudon and Kyogre into the mix, as Primal Reversion is usually seen as an alternate type of Mega Evolution. 48 out of 385. That means that 13% of all Pokemon that can have a Mega Evolution actually do have a Mega Evolution. That seems like a small number, though keep in mind there were only 30 in X and Y. If Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire could add a new 20 Mega Evolutions, there's always the chance that Sun and Moon can add even more, right? Let's take a moment to look at a Pokemon that a lot of people wanted to see Mega Evolve, Flygon. Art director Ken Sugimori even admitted in an interview that Flygon was supposed to have a Mega Evolution in X and Y, but it didn't get one simply to him experiencing artist block at the time. Surely, in the 3 years between Generation 6 and 7, that artist block will have gone away, right? And what about those other 334 Pokemon that can have a Mega Evolution but don't yet? Many hopeful fans are crossing their fingers that their favorite fully evolved Pokemon will receive a new Mega in Sun and Moon, and the fact that Ash Greninja exists shows some credence to that hope. But what if we don't get any new Mega Evolutions? What if new Megas never come in future games? What makes me even think of saying such an atrocity? Well, let's look at the previous generations for some guidance. Generation 1 introduced a lot of mechanics still seen in the Pokemon world, and Generation 2 expanded on those quite a bit. The biggest new mechanics it added were baby Pokemon and cross-generation Pokemon evolutions. These were actually a huge part of the games, and suddenly fans started preparing for what new additions to each category would appear in Generation 3. When Generation 3 came though, we only saw 2 in each category, and they were both the same Pokemon. Wynaut and Azurill were both new baby Pokemon, and they both evolved into Pokemon from the previous generation. But that's as far as it went. We got a lot more in Generation 4, but since then we've only gotten one new cross-generation evolution, Sylveon from Generation 6, and absolutely no new baby Pokemon. It seems these new mechanics were mostly abandoned after serving their purpose. In much the same way, Generation 6 introduced a new kind of evolution, Mega Evolution. Since Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire are unable to send their Megastones back to X and Y, one could see them as our Generation 6.5. We almost doubled our Mega Evolution count, and now there are so many Megas in the game that I personally almost feel like they're not special anymore. Kinda like shiny Pokemon. They were fun when they were first introduced because if you got one, it usually meant that you had something special. Something that you could be proud of and happy about, and know that there are very few other people in the world with one. With the new games making shiny hunting easier than ever, as well as people who unfairly hack shinies into their games, shiny Pokemon have lost their specialness. Now everyone has a shiny. They're still unique, but it's just not the same. I feel the same way about Mega Evolution. When X and Y came out, it was fun to go through the game and see which Pokemon were unique enough to Mega Evolve. By the time Oris came out though, it felt like more of a chore and less of an adventure. Don't get me wrong, Generation 7 just might bring new Megas. If it does, I'll be thrilled of course. But here's one last thing to consider. In X and Y, all the Megas were from just the first 4 generations. Not even Pokemon introduced in the games themselves could Mega Evolve, and Oris only introduced Mega Audino and Mega Diancie, one each from Generation 5 and 6. The focus was to put a spin on Pokemon from previous generations, and since Sun and Moon are going to be the first games in a new generation, I feel we're going to get a fun new mechanic in those games, but I don't think we'll be getting any new Mega Evolutions. Thanks for watching today's video. If you want to hear my opinion on what I think the new mechanic from Generation 7 will be, click the video on the left. To hear my theory about what type Magearna will be, click the video on the right. If you want to stay tuned for more Pokemon Sun and Moon theory videos, be sure to subscribe and like the video. Thanks everyone for watching, and stay tuned for more.